Okay, so you get your quadratic formula. We're going to solve using the quadratic formula. Remember, ax squared plus bx plus c. So a is 1, b is positive 1, c is negative 12. Be careful with your negatives. Okay, so if I set up the quadratic formula, and I put parentheses as placeholders, and now I'm just going to substitute. So if a is 1 here, right? Minus b squared minus 4a, c 2a, right? Let's get another color. If b is this positive 1, right? b, and then what haven't I used? Not green, red, blue. Oh, but blue looks, here, let's do orange. Okay, and then negative 12. There's my negative 12, and then you just throw it in your calculator. I will also solve it by hand, so the video is going to keep going, okay? So if I get my calculator, what you see is what you type, so fraction. And I'm going to load all of this in. So I have minus 1 plus, you can only do it one at a time, so I get asked a lot, Miss Katie, how do you put the plus and the minus? You don't. You got to do the positive and then you do the negative root. Okay, square root 1 squared, or squared, here, duh, minus 4, 1, c, and then I'm going to hit for the denominator 2 parenthesis 1. I click that and I go x equal 3. I get the output 3. Now, if you don't clear your calculator, you can hit the back button and get back to this symbol to replace the positive square root with the subtraction, the negative square root. And so when you hit equal, those are your two answers. So much easier than what you guys have been doing, right? With the factoring and the grouping. Okay, now if I wanted to solve it by hand, you can. So I'll solve it by hand and I'll show you. You still get it. Okay, I have a fraction. Minus 1 is minus 1, plus or minus, square root, what is 1 squared? 1. Minus 4ac is one big multiplication. It's a product. So what is minus 4 times 1 times negative 12, and I get 48. So plus 48, 2 times 1 is 2, right? 4 times 1 times negative 12, and that's the subtraction. So a negative and a negative is a positive. 4 times 1 times 12 is 48. Keep going, negative 1 plus or minus, 1 plus 48 is 49. You guys should know the square root of 49 is a perfect square. Yes, okay. So you're going to have negative 1 plus or minus 7 all over 2. You're going to have two cases. That's why I have two numbers. I have the negative 1 plus 7 over 2, and I have the negative 1 minus 7 over 2. And so I get 6 over 2, which is 3, and there's my 3. And I get negative 8 over 2, and there's my negative 4. So the calculator works just as well as solving it step by step. Do you have to solve it by hand? If it has real roots, which we'll get to that, if it has real roots, you can just use a calculator. But when you get an error in the calculator, we'll get to that. One of you will hit that problem. You have to solve it by hand. And that's because we go over complex numbers, imaginary numbers. Yours, you're going to have to use a big bracket because your calculator doesn't have the fraction button. So I would either do it in parts or get your numerator typed in, get that number, and then divide it by your denominator.
I tried that, but it gave me like.
Here, let's type it and let's see what it looks like.
All my life I've done it.
Okay, just because you guys are talking, let me shut off the video because